I'm with Laila Sansoor from Open Bethlehem. Now, Laila, what is Open Bethlehem?
Open Bethlehem is a campaign to save the city of Bethlehem that was launched in 2005. It was an effort, a collective effort by many people and many institutions in Bethlehem. And I headed the campaign because I came back actually from London at the time. I come from Bethlehem originally, and I felt so strongly about the new developments and the challenges that Bethlehem is facing today, and I wanted to take part in helping the city survive.
So what sort of crisis does Bethlehem actually face today?
Obviously, the most dramatic development in Bethlehem today is the wall that Israel is building around the city. The sad thing about this wall is that it is not built on the borders of the city. Instead, it takes a lot of land that belongs to people in Bethlehem and belongs to Bethlehem. The challenge of the wall is that it separates people from their community in Jerusalem, for example, and it's a city with which we enjoyed historically family relations, business relations. So a lot of people are unable to sustain normal relations with their families in Jerusalem, and also to carry on with their businesses in Jerusalem. The wall also takes a lot of the land from Bethlehem, takes agricultural land, so a lot of farmers will lose possibility of having the kind of life and economy that we had before. It also means that we as a community now have very little room to expand. So as a community, we're almost surrounded from every direction, and there's no way, no room to see how Bethlehem as a city can expand, where people can build amenities, where people can build even houses. We no longer have any more green spots left. The last recreational forest in Bethlehem, which is a convent called Kremizan, and it's a winery as well, will also be lost to the wall. So for us, this is very, very tragic. We're losing all our landmarks, all our green land, and also our connection to Jerusalem.
So it's very, very difficult to see losing all this land.
It is very, very tragic, and one thing that's very important for all of us to remember, and I feel I face that when I travel around giving talks, is that very often people feel that when we talk about losing land, that we talk about some abstract land that we just somehow emotionally feel is ours, but it's not the case. People are losing homes, people are losing their property, they're losing their farms, they're losing the land that they worked very hard to buy or inherited from their grandparents, work to plow, work to produce, work to look after, work to make sure that it is a land that gives produce. So it is very, very hard for people. It is actually losing something that is very, very intimate to them.
So it's an inheritance, basically.
Yes.
Now, you say you go around and you travel and you talk about what's happening in Bethlehem. Do people care around the world about what's happening to Bethlehem?
I think one of our serious tragedies is that what's happening in Bethlehem today is so absurd that people sometimes almost either shocked by what they hear. Sometimes they believe it or don't believe it. Mostly people only who come here and see it with their own eyes that really get the sense and the measure of the situation and understand what is really happening. This is why we in Open Bethlehem encourage people to come over and see it for themselves. It's one of the things that we do. We encourage journalists, we encourage political delegations, we encourage church leaders to visit Bethlehem, because we seriously believe that seeing is believing, and that also it's very important in situations like ours for people to bear witness.
Now, is immigration out of Bethlehem actually happening here?
Yes, the immigration was really active out of Bethlehem between the years of 2001 and 2004. Bethlehem at the time was invaded by the Israeli army, and a lot of our infrastructure was destroyed. It was also a very tense political situation. People were very scared, and also very scared for the future in terms of whether there will ever be stability here, whether there will ever be a normal economy here. So a large number of Christians particularly started immigrating. The immigration was among Christians and Muslims, but Christians immigrated in larger numbers. Christians immigrated in larger numbers because historically Bethlehem was a predominantly Christian town. So it was the Christian community that stood to benefit from the tourism. So they were the hoteliers, so hotel owners, the restaurant owners, they were the shop owners. So they are the more affluent group of people in the city. So whenever there is no future, whenever there is a sense of no hope for their children, for their families, people quickly, those who can afford to leave, decide to leave. And this is what we faced. Today, the immigration is not happening so fast because the situation is calmer. But certainly, among a lot of young people, the most fashionable talk is, where are you going, which country next, where are they giving visas, where can you find a job? And so people are looking to leave if they have the opportunity, which is very sad.
Yeah, you're losing part of your culture as well when they leave. But are they coming back in the end? If things were quiet down, would they come back?
I think normally it's always happened here this way, that if the economy looks like it is taking off and booming, at least some will come back. It's also very important for those who are dynamic, educated, young people just graduated, or who really, really want to take part in building the country, to be here. And that's the category of people that's very difficult to attract if everything is gloomy and unstable, because this is the category of people that always find it easy to find jobs abroad and to just build for themselves a life abroad. And so it's very important for us to try and attract these people back.
Now, you said many Christians are leaving the country at the moment, and do you think that the population for the Christians will actually disappear in Bethlehem eventually?
A lot of reports are warning that the Christian population is now facing serious challenge, that it might just be unsustainable within one generation. Unsustainable, obviously, is a difficult term to unpack. Maybe it will mean that there will be just very, very few people, very devout people living next to the church or something like that. But it does feel like if the trend is going to carry on the same, if we won't have a proper political solution here, if we won't have stability, if we won't have a booming economy, Christians will carry on leaving. And it's not clear how they can stay here as a community, in the sense that you'll have a vibrant, really group of people who are inhabiting the traditions that existed here from biblical times, who still celebrate Mass in the Nativity Church, who still celebrate Easter, Christmas in ways and, traditions and rituals that go back often to biblical times. So the sad thing is, for an iconic city like Bethlehem to lose its Christian community, it doesn't mean a lot. It means an incredible shift in its social texture. It means also an incredible shift in how the Christians will feel about the place when they come here. Because today, Christian pilgrims come here to renew their faith, and they come here, they find that the churches are alive, they sing along people who've celebrated this message that was born in our city alongside other Christians who are part of this landscape and are part of this society. But it is very possible that if they don't exist, then they'll come to a place that is just stones, really, empty museums that they will just visit and leave. And I think it's a major difference for how Bethlehem will feel for us and for the world after that.
So what have been some of the successes of Open Bethlehem here?
When we launched, really, it did feel like we inspired so many people to try and do something for Bethlehem. We had so many people come over to visit and to try and start projects, which is what we try to encourage. Many people started tour operating groups, which basically now bring people to Bethlehem and stay for several days. Because Bethlehem depends so much on tourism. This is how it evolved as a city, in fact. And now the tourism makes up for 62% of Bethlehem's economy. And whenever there's instability, political instability, tourism is the first thing to suffer. And so Bethlehem suffers economically. So these people are trying to support Bethlehem in a very proactive and very positive way by keeping us open to the word. Despite the wall, we still have groups coming. People build bridges with us. They understand what we are facing here. They support the economy, and this is one of the successes that we had. We had a lot of articles written about us all over the place because of journalists coming over. We also had many church delegations. For example, in the year 2006, after we launched in London, a group of church leaders from Britain, from all the churches, came together in a historic pilgrimage to show their support and solidarity for Bethlehem and to try and highlight the plight of the city and help people focus attention on the challenges that it faces. We do a lot of things really today. We are a key address for visiting delegations who want to understand the situation better, who want to try and start projects in Bethlehem, who want to build relations with Bethlehem institutions. We had people write books and dedicate it to us. Somebody is working on a new pilgrimage guide at the moment that will be part of our effort to show people our city from our own point of view, with our own eyes, if you wish. We had many, many successes, really. We even had a small success at the American Congress. There were two congressmen trying to pass a resolution saying that the Palestinian Christians are leaving because of pressure from the PA, which was a very, very confused and strange approach. And in fact, a prejudice that we here suffer from. Maybe because Muslims today in the world have acquired this image, which people believe, almost see them as monsters, and we here as Christians live alongside Muslims and have lived for centuries. For us in the end, Muslims come in all shapes and forms, and we see them as people, and we've lived alongside them. And in fact, in the country, within the PA, the Palestinian Authority, the Christians enjoy quite good privileges. Like we have very strict laws in the country to sustain the Christian community and to make sure that the Christian community remains a vital part of the Palestinian society. For example, the mayor of Bethlehem has to be Christian by law, even though we are a minority now in Bethlehem. The Minister of Tourism has to be a Christian, again, although we are a minority. In 5 municipalities, in 5 cities, by law, mayors have to be Christian. Yeah, we are really overrepresented in government. For example, from the district of Bethlehem, we have 4 representatives in parliament. 2 of them are Christian and 2 of them are Muslim. Again, by law, and despite the fact that the Christians are a minority. So there is a lot that is done in order to support our presence here and in order to strengthen our participation in the political system here. And it's very, very wrong and very misleading to see the situation otherwise. So we've challenged that notion because we want the Congress and people who care about the situation for real to understand that the major challenge for the people in Bethlehem today is things like the wall, is things like political instability of the region. What we need here is actually a political solution. We need a solution. We want to forge peace. And this is very important for us to remain here and to envisage a successful and vibrant economy.
Do you think you can get a political solution? Is the situation not a religious thing? You have Jews for instance, in Jerusalem, Israel, say that God gave them the land, and so they feel they have the rights to the land. Then you have particularly the Muslim group who want to fight for the land. They say the land was ours, so we have to fight for it in jihad to get it back. So is there a political solution when it seems to be more of a religious problem?
I don't believe it's a religious problem, really. I think that Israel is a very powerful country. It consists of different elements. It has the religious people, it has a lot of secular people. In fact, if you look at Israel, a lot of the leading forces within Israel are not religious, they are secular groups. Israel from the very get-go wanted to build a Jewish state, a large state, and a land as large as possible, and without many Palestinians living on it. Today, I think they managed to build the country. It was very much at the expense of a lot of Palestinians, but they managed to build the country, and today, though, it's a time for compromise for them. It's a much larger compromise for us, because basically we've lost our country. But it is very important that Israel accepts that the Palestinians have their state, even though small, but that they can't have it all. It's important that they reach an understanding that we have to have a political solution. They have to accept to make peace with us and to see us as neighbors rather than just people they want out. For us, of course, there will be people on both sides who will feel strongly one way or the other, but it is peace that is going to change this climate, and it's peace that's going to change the way currents work in every society. If we have peace here, if we have a country, if we can, travel between our cities without checkpoints, without being stopped every time, if we're able to control our borders, to have tourism, to have a normal economy, people will start focusing on more normal aspects of life. They will start worrying about how their business works, how they want to educate their children. Now the situation is so challenging politically that a lot of people will think all kinds of things. So there will be, of course, challenges if you forge peace. There will be a price to be paid on both sides, but it's a price worth paying, because otherwise we will just be in a perpetual war to the end of times.
Now you have a very special thing, which is a passport. What's that all about?
The Bethlehem passport is a document that we created when we launched the campaign, and it is a symbolic document to say that, to invite people of the world to engage with the plight of Bethlehem, and to say that all the world should be a stakeholder in saving the city. It's a very special place, Bethlehem, and it's almost a world city. It belongs to people of the world, and we want people to feel this way. So we are saying that everybody who brings their energy to help us stay here, everybody who brings their energy to help Bethlehem retain its character that it had for centuries, and who helps build peace here, is part of us, and so should be a citizen of Bethlehem.
So can people just get a hold of a passport? How do they get a passport?
So far, so many people, when we launched, wanted the passport, and it was very difficult to evaluate because we're still evaluating the situation on a one-by-one case, so on a case-by-case basis. So it's not easy to give it to everybody who asks for it. I mean, we tried to give it to people who really have invested some time and energy, or gave their names and lended their names to the campaign to say this is very important, and helped in the way that they could. For example, we gave the passport recently to an American family, young American family, who came here as a couple. They volunteered and worked in Bethlehem for 3 years, and they had the first child in Bethlehem. Christy, who is the mother, wrote a children's book called Bethlehem Star, which is currently available through our website. She wrote this children's book about Bethlehem. She's now and dedicated it to Open Bethlehem. She's also distributing now in the States, hoping to spread awareness and understanding of the situation in Bethlehem here. So they received the passport before they left Bethlehem. It was a very emotional moment for all of us, and a way for them to remember that they will always remain part of our city.
So do you have many famous people who have received the passport?
Yes. President Jimmy Carter received the passport because he was one of the first supporters of the campaign. Of course, one of the key people was Patriarch Michel Sabbah, the Patriarch of Jerusalem, because he was also one of the first supporters. And all the church leaders of Britain, when they came in their pilgrimage in 2006, they received Bethlehem passports. The Bishop of Los Angeles was and still remains a very, very active supporter of the campaign. He is bringing another group to Bethlehem very, very soon. In fact, in a few days' time. Many people like that from around the world. There was, for example, a choir from the States that came over, more than 150 people. And it was an initiative that was launched by 3 people in the States who worked hard for several years to make sure that some of the best people in American choirs come over and perform in Bethlehem in the year 2000, Christmas 2007. They also received the Bethlehem passport.
It must be really exciting for them to receive something like that.
Yes, they were very excited and moved, I think, which is nice for us because it feels that we are a special city,
Yes.
and it's nice that a lot of people feel the same way.
So what does Bethlehem actually have to offer today, even with the difficulties and the struggles that they face?
First of all, it always has to offer a lot of welcome, warmth, and hospitality. Bethlehem evolved, as I said, as a city because it emerged around the birthplace of Jesus and around the message of Jesus. So if Bethlehem decided to be something different, just an agricultural sleepy town or something like that, it wouldn't have succeeded because there were always pilgrims coming, always people coming, and somebody had to cater for them. So it evolved as a place that welcomes pilgrims, caters for them, that's always interactive, always open, always very happy and used to the stranger. And this is what Bethlehem always offered and still offers today. It is true that it is now behind the wall, but it doesn't mean that the warmth and welcome has disappeared. A lot of people say the same thing when they come here. It's always friendly, always safe, always warm, and I think this is very important. There's a lot of also spiritual things to see in Bethlehem, and a lot of spiritual landscape to explore, as well as historic. And sadly, a lot of pilgrims today are short-changed when they come here because they only spend 1 hour in Bethlehem. The same to Bethlehemites, they also are short-changed because the pilgrims stay only 1 hour. It means that they don't get to know the city, they don't get to see everything, they don't get to interact with its people, so they don't get any sense of flavor of the place, and they don't get to support the economy here. And this is one of the things that we're trying to change. And this is what a lot of our partners who are starting new tour operating groups are doing. They're staying in Bethlehem for several days so that people have the chance to see things for themselves, explore the place, visit everything that they'd like to see, spend also time in special places like the Nativity Church, not only just in a large group, but sometimes have the chance to come and, have a little prayer of their own, which is always nice because it's a special and calm place. That it is nice to be there in a contemplative mood, outside just, your normal style of tourism, if you wish. Yeah.
I know for me, I come into Bethlehem about 4 times a week, and I found the Palestinians very warming and very welcoming, and they love the people from the West and from Europe. But do you think that the media has something to play in some ways the demonization of Palestinians? Because we tend to see what's happening in Gaza with Palestinians running around with rockets, but really you come to Bethlehem and I never see that. So do you think the media really has something to play with this?
Yes, people receive snippets of information from here and there, and that's obviously always very difficult to build the picture of a place, because one town that is, in fact, we don't even have access to Gaza. And Gaza is one of the most highly populated areas in the world. It's, of course, it's a hotbed for problems, for all kinds of feelings of disappointment and desperation. Bethlehem is not a similar place, and it's very difficult to explain to people that it isn't, because obviously, as you said, because of the news reports. But I think maybe because Bethlehem today is associated with a wall, that also contributes to the fact that people feel it's prohibitive, that there's something wrong there, or a problem. In fact, all it is, we are a city that is imprisoned by a wall, but we are still the same city. We're still the same welcoming city, the same warm city, and people still are always welcoming people with open arms when they make their way through the wall to Bethlehem.
So what's it like for you today living in the ancient city of Bethlehem?
I love Bethlehem. I always feel special about it. It's when I was a young child growing up here, I probably didn't understand how special it is. I wanted to leave. I thought it was a small place. I wanted the bigger world. I left, and I never thought I will come back. But now that I'm older and probably a little bit wiser, I really appreciate how special this place is. And there's so much about it that I think just always overwhelms me. Even though I lived all over the world, I feel I know what the world has to offer, but there's so much in Bethlehem that I wouldn't change for anything.
So what's your prayer for the city, for the people here?
I think the best prayer that people can have for Bethlehem is to pray for the peace of Bethlehem. This is a special place in the world, and we want to make sure that the message that was born in the city is upheld all over the world, and that we can celebrate here with the people who've always lived here, as well as with the outside world, and in a city that is open and alive and has hope.
Now, you have a website where people can get more involved in Bethlehem. What sort of things is on your website, and what's your address?
The website is www.openbethlehem.org. We've created the website in the hope that people can use a lot of what we have as information, and they'll have access to photographs, they have access to presentations, and they can, for example, buy a copy of the book that I mentioned through the website. We are currently still a very small group. It's been very, very difficult and challenging to run the campaign financially, because many efforts like these here don't have necessarily the right financial support. It's always been a challenge. So we try to make sure that people have as much as possible information through our website, because we don't have a team of 10 people to answer telephones, and we encourage people a lot to visit our website and to try and at least do something for Bethlehem once a day, once a year, or even more if they wish to engage further.
Okay, Laila, thank you very much.
Thank you.